Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupat Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimadbhagavatam Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupat Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimadbhagavatam Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimadbhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Do you think you can grab that table with the clock and the cup? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so, all right, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 21, Instructions by Maharaj Prithu, and we're on text 43. Okay. So, looks like there's not a board, so they use their devices or books. Te shamaham padasorojarenum arya vaheyadikaritim ahu yam nityada bibrata ashupapam nashyat Yamum sarvaguna bhajanti Te shamaham padasarojarenum Aryava yadikritam ahu Yam nityada bibrata ashu papam nashyat yamum sarva guna bhajanti. Please chant. Tesham, of all of them. Aham, I. Pada, feet. Suroja, lotus. Renum, dust. Aryaha, all respectable persons. Vaheya, shall bear. Adi, up to. Karitam, helmet. Ayuhu, up to the end of life. Yam, which. Nityada, always. Bibrataha, caring. Ashu, very soon. Papam, sinful activities. Nashyati, are vanquished. Amum, all those. Sarvagunaha, fully qualified. Bhajanti, worship. Good translation. O respectable personalities present here, I beg the blessings of all of you that I may perpetually carry on my crown the dust of the lotus feet of such Brahmins and Vaishnavas until the end of my life. He who can carry such dust on his head is very soon relieved of all the reactions which arise from sinful life, and eventually he develops all good and desirable qualities. Purport. It is said that one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means unflinching faith in the Vaishnav, or the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, develops all the good qualities of the demigods. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat akinchana sarvar gunastatra samasta suryaha. Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Prahlad Maharaj also said, Naisham matis tavat aruk kramangrim. Bhagavatam 7:5-32. Unless one takes the dust of the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnav on one's head, one cannot understand what the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. And unless one knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's life remains imperfect. A great soul who has fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord after understanding Him fully and after repeatedly undergoing austerities and penances for many, many lives is very rare. The crown of a king is simply a big load if the king or head of the state does not actually bear the dust of the lotus feet of Brahmins and Vaishnavas. In other words, if a liberal king like Prithu Maharaj does not follow the instructions of Brahmins and Vaishnavas, or does not follow the Brahminical culture, he is simply a burden on the state, for he cannot benefit the citizens. Maharaj Prithu is the perfect example of an ideal chief executive. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Makam Kritavachalam Pangam Mangai Tegirim Yet Kripatamaham Vande Shigurun Divitadinam Vancha Kapadrubishta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O respectable personalities present here, I beg the blessings of all of you that I may perpetually carry on my crown the dust of the lotus feet of such Brahmins and Vaishnavas until the end of my life. He who can carry such dust on his head is very soon relieved of all the reactions which arise from sinful life. Yet eventually he develops all good and desirable qualities. So unflinching faith is being mentioned in the beginning of the purport. And actually faith is what, there's the different levels of Vaishnavas. There's the Kanishta-adhikari, the Madhyamadhikari, and the Uttamadhikari. And in the Bhagavatam, the 11th canto, the Navayogendras, they explain that, the different levels of Vaishnavas. And in the Uttamadhikari specifically, they mention it mentions how the Uttamadhikari, one of the characteristics of the Uttamadhikari is they have unflinching faith, or they have the most firm faith, or the most intense faith. And the others, the Kanishta-adhikari, the Madhyamadhikari, they have faith, but specifically Kanishta-adhikari, it's very weak. The faith is weak. It could be broken in so many different ways. And the Madhyamadhikari has a little more faith, and it's not so easily broken, but it can be broken as well. But so this faith is also, it's not just faith based on some type of say mental concoction, or you're just kind of psyching yourself into, I believe in Krishna, I believe in Krishna, I believe in Krishna. But the faith is actually born out of one of the things it's born from, or one of the causes of its being born is from experience, means real experiences in Krishna consciousness. That if we surrender, or when we surrender, we will experience, we'll have real experiences in Krishna consciousness, means that we'll experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness, we'll experience Krishna's presence in so many different ways. So in this way our faith is born. And also specifically by the association of Vaishnavas, by the association of devotees. That's how it happens. And in relation to the good qualities, that here Prabhupada's quoting Yasyasya Bhaktir Bhagavat Kinchana. So this verse says that the devotees, they have all the good qualities. And it says specifically that non-devotees, they don't have any good qualities. Because they are riding on the chariot of the mind. It means they're not in control of the mind. They're riding on the chariot of the mind. Now sometimes devotees, they say, well, it seems that the non-devotees sometimes have good qualities, and it seems that the devotees don't have good qualities. So what's going on here? Well, why is that? Well, specifically this verse, that's why we have to read very carefully every single word, and quote in context and all these different things. But it specifically says in that verse in the Bhagavatam 5:18-12, it says that it's specifically talking about pure devotees. It means pure devotees have all the good qualities of the demigods. And so it's not talking about just any devotee, because there's many devotees, and there's many mixed devotees. Mixed devotees means mixed desires, not pure desires, impure desires. So to the degree of the purity of the devotee, to that degree they'll have all the good qualities of the demigods. and specifically pure devotees. And in terms of the non-devotees riding on the mental plane, means they don't have any good qualities, means that because they're devoid of God consciousness, they can't actually have good qualities, because it's just a matter of situation by which their bad qualities that are just under the surface will come out. Like they give an example, you put a dog on a throne and you throw a bone, and the dog's going to go for the bone. So as a dog is a dog, and you put him on a throne, it doesn't really matter. It's a dog, you just go for the bone. So similarly, if you put a materialist, and they may be a quote-unquote good materialist, but you put them in a certain situation, and their underlying materialistic nature will come out. Just like sometimes people have experiences, especially in the past, in the 60s and 70s, devotees would try to join the Hare Krishna movement. And their parents who loved them and nurtured them and took so much good care of them throughout their life, and then when the son or the daughter says, "I want to join the Hare Krishnas," the parents will say, "Well, if you do that, I don't ever want to talk to you again. I'm rejecting you. I don't want to ever talk to you again." Now, you could say that love or that care that was manifesting throughout their life, it's like, okay, it was tested in the sense that my son or my daughter is going to do something I don't like, so how am I going to react to that? And they react by saying, "I'm going to reject you," which I would say, riding on the mental plane, is just a bad quality, to reject somebody like that, especially your son or daughter, based on some of their and there's so many examples. You put too much whatever power or money and certain people's, and they're good, but then once they get that, then everything goes bad. So in so many examples in which non-devotees are riding on the mental plane. So yeah, that's important to understand, that we shouldn't really have faith in non-devotees. We should have no faith in them whatsoever. In the sense that even if they're quote-unquote good people, by associating, what are they going to give us? Birth, death, old age, and disease. They're not going to give us anything else. So yeah, therefore it's important to associate with devotees, because devotees will actually give us Krishna consciousness, and depending on the level of advancement of the devotee, they'll give us more or less Krishna consciousness. I like that Parameshwar Prabhu said the other day in his class, that, quoting Navina Nirada Prabhu, that when you go out and spread Krishna consciousness, what are you giving people? Are you giving people your pain and your anguish and your anxiety, or are you giving them Krishna consciousness? Which is a really important point. In the sense that when we do go out, whatever Krishna consciousness we do have, which we may not think we have a lot, and whether we have a lot or not, at least we have to give them whatever Krishna consciousness, whatever we do have, and not, in other words, not distribute our pain and our anguish and our frustration and all that. So it's an important point. And Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, unless one takes the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava on his head, then they cannot understand Krishna. One's life remains imperfect. So the perfection of one's life is to become fully Krishna conscious. And in order to become fully Krishna conscious, we really have to follow the process. And if we don't follow the process, then, we won't become fully Krishna conscious. So then the question is, okay, well, what is the process? And Srila Prabhupada's books very clearly outline the process. of Krishna consciousness. So they're within the books. But in order to understand the books, we have to read them, first of all. And if we don't read them, then what will we understand about the process? Practically very little. So we have to read them, and not just read them, we have to hear them as well, regularly, daily, every day. But still, that's not enough just to read and just to hear, but we have to hear from, as Srup Damodar Goswami says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Pore Bhagavati Sthana. It means you have to hear from a devotee, a good, advanced devotee you have to hear from. But not only do we have to hear from them, but we have to hear from them submissively, in the right mood. But not only do we have to hear from them in the right mood, submissively, but we have to actually follow what they say. And not only do we have to follow what they say, but we have to recognize our fallen nature. And not only do we have to recognize our fallen nature, but we have to understand that it's a problem, that it's wrong. And then do something about it. And until we do all that, we could be hanging out in the Hare Krishna movement for millions of lives and never go back to Godhead. That's a problem. It's important to do all that. Just to actually surrender. Because it says the spiritual master, he is an ocean of mercy. There's an example where Prabhupada, he was going to correct one devotee for doing whatever he was doing, some nonsense, and then he kept on correcting this devotee, but he wasn't getting the message. This devotee wasn't getting the message. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami said to Prabhupada, "Well, Prabhupada, isn't there some type of level, or isn't there a point when you're supposed to give up on somebody, where this is just too much? They're like taking advantage." And Prabhupada said, "Oh, you don't understand the mercy of Lord Nityananda. It's unlimited. You don't understand." So, okay, the mercy of Lord Nityananda is unlimited. That's true. The spiritual master's mercy is unlimited. But on the other hand, there's us on our point. There's us, and we're not supposed to take advantage of that. Like Prabhupada would say, "Oh, I forgive you once, I forgive you twice, whatever. Third time, I punish you," something like that. So we're not supposed to take advantage. And specifically, the spiritual master is also referred to as Patita Pavana, right? He's Patita Pavana, means the friend of the fallen souls. Now, but the point is, we're not supposed to remain fallen. That's the point. We're not supposed to remain fallen. So in order to not remain fallen, we have to understand what we're doing. We have to understand in which ways we're fallen, and then we have to try to make endeavors not to be fallen anymore. And if someone wants to remain fallen, then what can the spiritual master do? They really can't do much, actually. And Krishna can't do much, even though he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have to make progressive steps on a daily basis. Every single day we should be making advancement in certain regards in our Krishna consciousness. Or else it's fully surrender, repeatedly undergo austerities and penances. It generally takes quite a while to be Krishna conscious, right? Many lives, it says here, a very rare soul will surrender after undergoing so many austerities and penances. So Srila Prabhupada, he is giving us the process by which we can complete our Krishna consciousness in this life. And Prabhupada would make that point many times. Please complete this process in this life. Please do not waste your time. Please complete it in this life. You don't have to wait many lives. And it's quite simple, actually. It's not very difficult. It's not very complicated. It's very simple. But sometimes the problem is we like to not make it simple, and we like to complicate it. We don't like to, we're practically forced to, conditioned to by our natures to really complicate things. But it's not complicated at all. Just like I was thinking about Parameshwara Prabhu and Nandakirtan and many other devotees who travel throughout America. It's such a great program, actually. Absolutely amazing program. And I wish that more devotees would do it. So someone may say, well, why don't you do it? Well, maybe I will. No, I wish that many more devotees would do it. Thousands of devotees, millions of devotees would do that all over the world. Why? Because it's good. It's supremely good. It's good for the individual. It's good for the movement. It's good for humanity. It's just absolutely good, beyond good, completely transcendental, in the sense that it allows one to just be absorbed in, provided one surrenders. It allows one to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness in a very unique, special way, in the sense that you really don't have anything else to do. You just read Prabhupada's books, you distribute Prabhupada's books, you go and you have some morning program, some evening program, you associate with devotees, go to different temples, and it's so amazing, actually. And devotees who do that are extremely fortunate. Extremely fortunate. Because other devotees have different services. And sometimes, every service has their difficulty, but a lot of the times, like again, with this service, it's very direct and it's very, you could say, simple and great. And other people may have to be dealing with maybe, more people, which automatically means more problems. And hearing so much, this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem, so many problems. And, okay, that service needs to be done too. But those who are engaged in full-time preaching and book distribution, they're extremely fortunate because they don't have to deal with that, for the most part. They don't have to deal with that. So they should take full advantage. And we could learn from such personalities that Krishna consciousness is simple. And Prabhupada said that, and it's not complicated, and just serve Krishna. Again, but the problem is sometimes we complicate things. So that's a conditioning that we have to get over. We have to get over that conditioning, that stop complicating things. But really that entails that we have to give up a lot of our desires for sense gratification, which, practically speaking, is the only thing keeping us within this material world, sense gratification. Means the desires to gratify the senses, which is lust, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is covering our knowledge and completely blocking us from going back to the spiritual world. Which lust doesn't mean only sexual desires, but it does mean that. But it means many other desires as well. So we have to come to the point where we do not desire anything else besides devotional service, pure devotional service. And if you see a pure devotee, they'll have a list. Oh, these are my desires, and what will be their desires? Okay, they have different desires to serve Krishna in different ways, but the main desire is pure devotional service. That's the main desire. Whereas non-devotees have thousands of desires, millions of desires. And mixed devotees also have so many desires, right? Depending on level of purity. So we have to give up those desires, ultimately. And not just ultimately, but as soon as possible. Like yesterday, like a year ago, like 5 years ago, that would be best. Like never have them in the first place, because it's just poison. And so in other words, we have to be careful, because these desires will either completely wreck our life, or they'll make our life successful based on our desires. Just like I was talking to some guy the other day, my sister's friend, and he was telling me how he, and I'm going to relate this, but he owns this shop, that shop. They sell all types of soaps and this and that, different things. And then he said how he bought a bar in Barcelona, Spain, right? And then he showed me some pictures, how it was all a mess, and then they cleared it up and they decorated it like a club or something, and then they moved some guy out from Florida who's living there in Barcelona, Spain. They hired some bartenders from the best bar schools in London, and they're really getting fired up, right? And then he went to all the nightclubs and all the bars in Spain, so many of them, and he was like analyzing, how they're doing good or how they're doing bad, trying to make his business great, right? And spending so much of his energy like this is how he's using his human form of life. It's actually sad, complete waste. And throughout the whole world, everybody's doing that. Practically speaking, everybody's doing that on so many levels. Oh, this desire, that, oh, it's so important. No, it's not important. Actually, it's what you're doing is foolish. And it's a waste of time. But he doesn't understand that. And of course, how am I going to make him understand that? Within 5 minutes or something. It's going to take a little time. He's not going to accept what I say. So I was just trying to be friendly with him, and I gave him a card to the Krishna Lounge. But whether they're doing this or doing that, it's just all an absolute waste of time. And so we have to come to that stage where we also think everything else besides Krishna consciousness, pure Krishna consciousness, is a complete waste of time. And not only a waste of time, but is actually abominable. Just like Bharat Maharaj, when he was leaving the forest as a young king. Somehow or other, he took sannyas when he was young. But he wasn't, generally the kings wait till they're 50, 60, usually 50. But when he was leaving, there's a particular verse in the Bhagavatam, and it describes him leaving to the forest. And it says that just as after one, that's what people do in this world, unfortunately. Just as one, evacuates, and they don't, hang around, they leave. Similarly, Bharat Maharaj left everything, his kingdom, his everything. Just as one, evacuates and just leaves. So, in that's in the Bhagavatam, and that's actually an important instruction, because it's saying detachment. We have to become detached. So similarly, everything that is not Krishna conscious is like that. It's just abominable. Like it's completely useless. And we have to leave it. Sooner the better. Not like not be attracted to it. Just like Just like hogs, Hogs are attracted to, as Prabhupada said, stool. They're not attracted to halava. Prabhupada would say it many times. So, so that's the idea, that we should come to the platform where we see this whole world as just something that's not really worth our time. It's not really worth our time. It means sense gratification also is not worth our time. And we're able to do that if we are fortunate. Vishaya vanivartante nirahasya dehana rasavarjam rasopyasya param dushtva nivartate. So, it says that the soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, but by experiencing a higher taste, they are fixed in consciousness. Means that by experiencing a higher taste, they're able to not engage in sinful activity. So we have to get that higher taste. And the higher taste is by associating with those who have a higher taste and serving those who have a higher taste. Like the Bhagavatam says, Shushu Shoshadadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchya Syan Mahat Seva Vipra Punyatirtana Shevana. By serving those great souls who are completely free from vice, great service is done, and one attains a taste for Krishna consciousness. So that taste has to develop, and then we're able to not engage in sinful activity. So that's there. But until we really learn how to give up these desires, we really won't be able to experience the taste of Krishna consciousness, the real taste. Like Rupa Goswami says, he says, as long as these witches are dancing in my heart, and he says there's two witches dancing there. And they're the witches of bhakti and mukti, which bhakti means material enjoyment, and mukti means impersonal liberation. So as long as those desires, those witches are dancing in my heart, one cannot relish the true bliss of Krishna consciousness. Or as how some devotees put it, as long as one's trying to become important, either spiritually or materially, you can't relish the bliss of Krishna consciousness. So yeah, bhakti mukti, the witches had to be kicked out. And mukti, someone say, oh well, I don't have any desires for impersonal liberation. I mean, generally devotees don't, in the ultimate sense. But desires for liberation also means desires from freedom of suffering. It means that I am not willing to engage in difficult service for Krishna, for my spiritual master. Why? Because it's going to produce too much suffering. So that's a form of desire and liberation. So in other words, we have to be willing to engage in any service for the spiritual master, no matter how difficult it is. It doesn't matter. And that is, you could say, kicking the witch out. So these are wonderful prayers, wonderful meditations. Prithu Maharaj, he's one in the dust of all the Vaishnavas, very humble king. Amazing, actually. Such a powerful personality, taking the dust from the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. So it's a very wonderful example for all of us. Very qualified, but nonetheless, he's very humble. So, anyways, does anybody have any questions or comments about any of this? Okay. Ananda Kirtan Das.
Thank you very much. Well, okay, I just want to just say a quick comment and then a question. I really like how you were talking about how Prabhupada was just saying, and gave that example of hogs. They're attracted to the stool. So if we're attracted to anything in this world, it's like attracted to, because I also heard in the class him saying that this world is like a toilet.
Yeah.
You just do your business and you finish and you get out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like humorous to think like that we're trying to make a comfortable position right after we pass stool in the toilet, and we're just like hanging out there, and we think it's like a good place to like hang out, you know. So,
well, can I comment on that real quick before we move on to the question? Sometimes I feel like that about going downtown on the Harinam. I always think, okay, we did the Harinam, we did our business, now it's time to get out. Going downtown. But it's a good point, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually said that. He said that, you know, the world is like a, seems quite pessimistic for the positive, for the optimistics out there, but the world is like a latrine. You just do your business and get out. It means it's not a place, like you're saying, for us to be comfortable and hang out, and it's like it's a place that we're here, okay, fine, we make the best of it, we spread Krishna consciousness. You know, you could be happy in this world in Krishna consciousness, and then go back to Godhead. But really, our place is Godhead, not here. So it's a good point. Like, so I read a quote the other day. It said that suffering suffering means that you think you could be happy in this world. One quote said, suffering means that you think you could be happy in this world. So, yeah, and it means materially happy. It's just, it doesn't work. So, anyways, you have a question?
Yeah, I actually had a few questions. One was when you quoted Parameshwar saying, and he quoted Navina Nirada Prabhu saying that when we're going out to preach, what are we actually giving people? Is it Krishna consciousness, or is it our own problems, our own lust, our own pain? So I was just thinking, like, if you give someone a book and then they give you a donation and then you move on, how are you giving them your pain?
Yeah.
Like, even if you're having a bad day and your mind's agitated, but you still go out and people, you even have to put on a fake smile maybe to get the book out. And then person took a book, you might not know what's going on with you mentally. Mm-hmm. So how is that giving someone your problems?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, the idea is to have very strong sadhana, and by that strong sadhana we'll be inspired, and we'll be enthused, and we'll be happy. Actually, we'll be enthused, we'll be happy, we'll be inspired, even if we are having problems. And then when we go out, people will sense that this person's happy, and this person's inspired, and this person's enthused. They might not sense, oh, there's like a light emanating from your head, and he's perfect, and he's came to save me or something. This is actually the truth. He came to save you. But the point is that they won't really sense. They won't sense all your problems if you do have any. But what they'll sense is you being happy and enthused and inspired. So when it says, at least from my understanding, when it says, oh, when you go out there, make sure not to distribute your pain, your anguish, and your, don't go out there in a bad mood, in a mood that's not going to be inspiring to people. So in other words, and you can say, oh, well, how you do that? That's kind of difficult. Well, therefore, we're advised to engage in strong sadhana, by which we'll be inspired and enthused and happy. And aside from that, we are advised to be Goswamis. So Goswami means, like in the Nectar instructions, is Vacho Vegam, Manaso Krota Vegam, Jiva Vegam, says that one who can control these urges, can control the urges of the tongue, belly, all these different urges, speech, they can make disciples all over the world. So it doesn't say that, oh, one whose urges are completely erased and he has no urges or anything. It says one who can control these urges. So when we go out to preach, we want to control. We may be feeling this way or feeling that way, or we should be happy in general. But in other words, we may be disturbed about something, but we don't. But a Goswami means they control that. Like if somebody comes up to you, and like Vijay, perfect example. Vijay Prabhu, he's quite an example actually of a devotee going on in books. But Vijay, one time, Prabhu, he went out, and I'm sure the devotees heard this, but he went out and he was at an airport, and somebody came up to him and just got really close in his face and just started shouting at him really loud, and you're cheating to this, that, somebody criticizing him. And Vijay was just cool, calm, cool, didn't say anything. And then the guy walked away. And then another guy came up to him and said, "Wow, that was amazing." He said, "I want to take one of your books, you know." And he bought a book. So that's an example of Vijay. He has strong sadhana and happy and enthused and inspired. That's one thing. But he's Goswami. So he could have got so disturbed and bent out of shape, and then for the next 2 hours, everybody's sensing that, man, this guy's really disturbed about something. He's trying to give me a book about being happy and God conscious. He's disturbed. So if we're Goswami, then that helps, So yes, you have one.
So you said that we should be able to make progress. So how do we know, like someone with a mixed devotion, mixed desires, struggling and trying to associate with devotees to make some progress, but how does he know that whether it's going forward or going backward?
Yeah, every day that you're making advancement. There's like practical things we could do every day. Just the idea of chanting every day. And trying to chant is like muster up as much sincerity as we can while we chant. That is making advancement. But the problem really comes is when people become a little lax or kind of give up on certain things, or give up on themselves, or give up on the process. That's when the problems come. So, but if we're just trying every day and trying more and extending ourselves more, doing more and more, then yeah, we could say we're making advancement, because we're not giving up, and we're not reducing, what we're supposed to be doing. So, but it's kind of hard, because sometimes you feel okay, I'm going up, and then you feel okay, a little bit of a, I'm going this way, this way, this way. So, but one devotee, Tirtha Maharshi, was bringing up an interesting point to me one time, and he was saying that, quoting some verse from the Bhagavatam, he said in one sense, devotees don't really fall down. Because, and he was given the verse that, because it says that, even if one leaves Krishna consciousness, I think Narada Muni Vyasadeva, even if one gives up Krishna consciousness, falls down, and if due to being immature, still they're always in the back of their mind thinking of the nectar of serving Krishna. So in that way, or like Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction, when one engages in devotional service, Krishna forcibly drags them to perfection. So in other words, once you, or there's another one, anyone who chants Krishna's name, I think even once it says that Krishna doesn't forget that person. That person's name is like recorded. He doesn't forget. So in other words, that Krishna doesn't give up so easy on someone who even's done a little bit. So I'm not exactly sure we got off on that, but yes. Yes.
I think part of his question is, how do we know if we're making progress? Prabhupada answered that, said, we know we're making advancement in Krishna consciousness by how our lust and greediness is going away.
Yeah.
There's probably a variety of different ways to answer it, but that's one.
Yeah, detachment. How much we become detached. Ananda Kirtan? Yes.
You might not notice your own progress, but people that haven't seen you for a while have definitely noticed your progress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really notice my day-to-day progress, right, because it's so incremental. But every time I go to India every year, the first time I went there, I was so disturbed. Second year, much less disturbed. Now it's like, wow, this is real nectar. You see your progress, your attachment to Krishna increases, your realizations get so far out. just end up not being attracted to the material world. I mean, I'm speaking like, head of the game, but I mean, you notice definitely progress. And just ask somebody that hasn't seen you for 6 months if you've been progressing, if they've noticed any changes in you. They'll go, oh my God, you're a completely different person. Like a bhakta that gets into our van for like 2 months. I mean, literally, I remember one guy was in there for a month. And one day I just saw him almost like as a sannyasi or something. Like this just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And he was acting like that too. It was like, what the, just a month ago you were, my God, in just 1 month. Completely, I didn't even recognize. I was like shocked and couldn't even, who is this person? I went, who's in my van right now? I didn't even know it was him. I'm serious. I was shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about, like when children, you have some family member, nephew or niece or whatever, or just your friend's children or something. You don't see them for like a year or 2 years or 3 years, and they grow so much. That's always the thing. When you get a little older, you see some child. Oh, you've grown so much. So I was just thinking about that, like when you haven't seen somebody for a while, and you say, oh, this person made a lot of advancement. So that's nice when we could do that. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I think I've heard this answer before, but I was wondering if you can give an answer. I'd like to hear what you say. What does it mean when the dust of the feet? Why is dust of feet so important?
So
why do we focus on feet so much?
So can I hear your answer that you've heard?
Yeah, I heard this in a class by Radhanath Swami was saying, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but really getting the dust of the feet of the pure devotee is by surrendering and following his instruction.
Yeah.
But then there's got to be also some simultaneous that literally you get the dust from his feet and put it on your head.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a sign of humility because, the lowest part of somebody's, generally, people think, oh, feet, that's like the most, people don't want to deal with people's feet, usually, right? But, it's definitely a sign of humility, bowing down, touching superior's feet. And I was just thinking that specifically you could say a really advanced Vaishnava, a really extremely advanced Vaishnava, the understanding, like for example, they put acharyas or sannyasis' body into samadhi, into the ground, whereas generally they burn all the other bodies. And the idea is that the sannyasi or acharya's body is completely spiritualized because of their full yajna, sacrifice, they sacrificed everything, engaged fully in devotional service, so their form is spiritualized. So I was just thinking if the dust has touched the spiritualized form of a great Vaishnava, then it's special dust. It's not just like dirt or something. It's coming from the spiritualized form of a great personality. So that's there too, but okay, you could ask. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We hear that the goal, devotional service itself, is like the goal of life, is like the highest achievement of life. So obviously there's different phases of devotional service. Like one could be just coming to the temple for the first time, hearing kirtan, that's devotional service. And then up to, like the highest form, like someone's completely liberated and they're like entering into Krishna's pastimes, and everywhere in between. So I was just wondering, right now, have we achieved the goal of life because we're hearing Bhagavatam, because we're engaging in devotional service? Is this the goal of life right now?
Well, it's interesting because we're doing what liberated souls are, what they do, actually. Like liberated souls to hear the Bhagavatam. It's not, but it says the Bhagavatam is meant for everybody, conditioned, liberated, whatever, in the middle. Or just like singing to Tulsi. I mean, it's a liberated activity. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he would say that in his house he would be singing to Tulsi or seeing Tulsi, and then afterwards he would take prasad and this, and then he felt like he felt like he was in Goloka Vrindavan, or he realized like he was in Goloka Vrindavan, the spiritual world. So, yeah, at a particular point, we will realize that, yeah, these activities are not ordinary. These activities are completely transcendental, and we'll be completely fixated on those activities and experiencing, Krishna directly. So it's just a matter of, you could say, purifying the heart, Chaitya Darpana Marjanam, and coming to that understanding, which may take some time, but it doesn't necessarily have to take too much time. But so that's, and Krishna, you could say Krishna will give us glimpses of that. When we all have that experience, at least we've experienced in a kirtan or whatever, or japa or something like that, we have some glimpse into some higher stages of realization, or of, focus on Krishna consciousness. So that's there also. So you could say devotional service is the goal, and if we're engaged in devotional service, we achieve the goal, but it's also a matter, or like, for example, we have Krishna's name, right? So Krishna's name is, that's Krishna. So, but it's just a matter of realizing that. So, yes, I think Parameshwar.
I really like your class and your answers. Well thought out. I just want to make the comment, if I may, that, Lord Chaitanya says the goal of prayojana is pure chanting, pure love of God, chanting. So not that we just chant, hey, I've attained the goal. I'm not saying he's thinking like this, but just for clarity. I chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I already attained. I just have to do that. I'm good. No, we want to chant Hare Krishna while striving for pure chanting. Right?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, yes, devotional service is the goal of religion, of religiosity. We attain that goal, but now we have to purify it. We have to attain pure devotional service. We have to purely chant, and that's a striving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strive. That's the fall down of religion, actually, throughout the world. That they give up striving. That's the fall down of religious people, and that's a fall down of religions throughout the world. And possibly that could be the fall down of devotees and the fall down of yatras and so on, is that they give up striving individually and they give up striving collectively. And that's when all the problems manifest. Problems with each other, problems with their bad qualities, their anartha, this, that, so many problems. Why? Because just lack of striving. And therefore the sannyasi, which, by the way, we don't all have to take sannyas necessarily, maybe, okay, but we should all internally be sannyasis, in the sense that one of the names for sannyasis is yati, which means to always be striving for Krishna consciousness. Not just like, I strive sometimes, I don't strive. No, always striving for Krishna consciousness, yati. So that's important. And, that fall down of religion and that fall down of religious people is just due to the lower modes of material nature. The mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, means no yati. Or yati, striving, and the mode of ignorance means just, lazy, sleep, intoxication, all these mode of ignorance things. Yati in the mode of passion just means striving for material things. So that's the fall down of religion and religious people. Too much in the lower, modes. Yes.
I saw this, some Catholics were promoting their Catholicism, and they had a saint, a quote in the back. I thought it was really impressive. It said something like, something in the nature of, one attained good qualities because he tried, and he became perfect because he tried a lot.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. So one attained good qualities because he tried, another attained perfection? perfection because you tried a lot. Okay. Yeah. All right, so we'll end on that positive note. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.